Hey everyone, welcome back to Low Budget Logistics, your logistics and supply chain explainer. Really quickly though, yes, this will be definitely come out before the panel that I've been talking to you about so often. So please join me on the Pro Ship Pros You Know tour panel about surviving the parcel pandemonium. It's gonna be a great time. You're gonna really enjoy it. Sign up at the link below. So now let's talk about a really fun one today. And you're in luck because I actually have I have footage of what I'm talking about today. So I'm gonna stitch it in right now.
See over there? That's the bridge. The stevedores here don't anymore. You see some paths.
Okay, and we're back. So what you saw there is an ocean port, one of the busiest ocean ports in the world. And you don't understand, you don't have the capacity to understand, sort of the layman here, you don't have the capacity to understand how important ocean ports are for you and what they do. So kind of broadly, an ocean port and having really kind of ports by way of having access to the ocean is sort of a superpower for a country. Now, I know that we talked about supply chain as a superpower. I'm going to continue on this thread. That's why I'm wearing the cape here. But ports are a nation's superpower. They're how you can access your industrial capacity and get it to the places in the world where you're going to make the most money from it. All right. And for logistics and supply chain professional, they're important because that's how you get your stuff. That's where your stuff has to go through. And they're pretty amazing. So in the video, if I did it right, what you probably saw are a bunch of ocean containers. Okay, those are 20 to 40 foot long containers. They're just filled with stuff. They're put on huge boats. You've probably seen an ocean freighter by this point in your life. Ocean ports are great because they allow you to move a lot of stuff very quickly and very relatively easy. Now, there's a lot of different ways to sort of measure a port. There's gross weight that moves through it. If that was the case, then the Port of Houston would be a huge one, but the Port of Houston really is dealing mostly in oil, and oil is really heavy. Other things that you can sort of grade a port on are TEUs. So like I said, one of those containers, a 40-foot container would be 2 TEUs, right? A 20-foot equivalent unit. If you're shipping 40, then that's 2 20-foot, right? So it's 2. It gets weird. There's lots of different ways to measure the sort of volume that a port can do. But what I really want to show you is what an ocean port does in comparison to an airport, because we all know airports. We're all super familiar with airports. We know sort of what they look like. We've all been through them. And so the best way that I could describe apples to apples is in tonnage moved, because that's sort of typically what an airport is measured by. Now, the biggest airport in the world by volume moved is the airport of Hong Kong, which is a huge airport. It's really fascinating. It's mind-boggling how big it is, especially their port, especially their airport operations. Now, I've seen their airport operations. There's a lot of stuff that's moving through there. Let me just say, there's a lot. And so that's a lot. In terms of kind of tonnage that's moved, they move about 5 million metric tons worth of stuff through that airport every year. It's the biggest in the world by about 1 million tons worth of volume moved. Now let's talk. So that would be this. This would be the largest ocean port, which is also strangely in China. It's the port of Shanghai, and they don't measure in tons, but they do have an easy way to measure. They measure in kilotons, which is 1,000 tons. So if this is 1 ton, and I'm going to caveat, I didn't really do the math here well. If this is what the entire airport of Hong Kong is moving in a year, this is basically what the port of Shanghai is moving in kind of the most equitable terms. So you can see that the vast amount of stuff moving in the world is moving on an ocean port. And there's lots of reasons for that. Mainly because ocean carriers, ocean boats, vessels, can get really, really big. And the moving stuff on the ocean is actually a hyper efficient way of moving stuff. You can build a big boat. You can displace a lot of volume of water from there, and they move, pretty easily. There's not a whole lot of friction on the water. And it's really super efficient to move stuff that way. Now, if you're moving on the air, also not a whole lot of friction in the air. Well, it's called drag. It's a different thing. And you get there faster. Lots of reasons for that. But it's very expensive because an airplane is really hard to upkeep. It's really expensive. And you can't get a whole lot of stuff in there, right? You're kind of limited by how much fuel you can carry as opposed to how much cargo you can carry. There's lots of sort of metrics in there. We won't get too deep into that. But you should know that it's much more inefficient to move on the air than it is on the ocean, because ocean carriers, they move, they go. They don't take a whole lot of gas to kind of keep moving. So they're really efficient. The other fun thing about an ocean port, somewhat unlike an airport, is that ocean ports, typically speaking, are connected to railheads. And railheads, as we talked about in the train video, trains are basically like the ocean vessels of the ground. They can move a lot of stuff. They can move really heavy things very quickly and efficiently. And so they're just really a fantastic way. And normally an ocean port will be connected into as a railhead. So you can get cargo off of the boat and onto a train and then move it inland relatively quickly. There's other things that are also really important as far as ocean ports are concerned. Generally speaking, they're connected to a highway. So a container can come off of an ocean ship directly onto a truck, and then that truck can really just go. That's sort of best case scenario. Normally they sit around in the port a lot. But ports are great. They're important. They're sort of the lifeblood of a country. And if you don't have a port, you really can't do anything. There's a lot of landlocked countries in the world that are to some extent hampered because of they don't have access to a port because they're landlocked. So ports are great. They're really underestimated in the world, right? So we can see by the size of that's sweet Hong Kong, and it's moving a lot of stuff. But over here in Shanghai, they're just crushing it. They're moving so much volume. I'm gonna take this off because it's silly now. So I hope that the video was informative. I hope you enjoyed the video that I sort of stitched in here. That one is specifically from the port of Yantian, which is just across, literally across the street from Hong Kong. And it moves a lot of volume. It doesn't move as much as Shanghai does, but it's a really fascinating port to be a part of. It's relatively new. So it's where a lot of stuff that manufacturers move a lot of volume out of that location as well. Anyways, thank you. This is gonna be another short one because I just wanted to talk about ports and I wanted to reuse this stuff. So thank you so much for watching and being along for the ride. Y'all are legends. For those of you who are subscribed, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it and you want to see more of my silly antics. And leave a comment below if you enjoyed it. If you want me to talk about something specifically, do it down there. I read every comment. I respond to most of them. Please join me on the Pro Ship Pro Know tour. I keep saying tour. It's not a tour. The Pro Ship Pro Know panel, where we're going to be talking about partial pandemonium. And links in the description below. And all that being said, I know it's a lot of stuff, but thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.